So for today's meta video, we're going to be covering the double jab and the forward slip hook dual threat. I will be explaining what makes the forward slip hook so busted, as well as its usage in conjunction with the double jab in UFC 4's meta. So the double jab and the forward slip hook. So the forward slip hook, when timed at a specific time, outside of its already crazy tracking, you can also get a busted slide that comes out of this that cheats the distance and lands at an extremely ridiculous range where it's not even necessary to input a lunging hook. Right, so it does like 3 jobs in one. The jab, in conjunction with this, is used to force front guard, something we're all familiar with if you guys watch my block system video. So you use this, you force the front guard, and you use the hook to go around. Now this isn't anything new, this has been a thing since UFC 3, but by using these two tactics together with these mechanics, it's a very cheeky thing to do with higher level fighters. Can you duck the forward slip hook? Nah, I've ducked it plenty of times with somebody like with Max Holloway, but even so, there's a good chance that even if you duck it, the tracking is so inconsistent with the forward slip hook that you still might have the hook land on your head. Can you pull it? The super slide is going to cheat the distance and it'll super track your pull. Have I pulled forward slip hooks? Yes, I have. Is it super easy? Absolutely not. And it's easier to just do the move, and you can get away with a lot more bullshit, just like this. So, especially in Division 20, a lot of players use these two things in conjunction. The slip straight against the double jab, well, the forward slip hook serves as a deterrent against what you would think would be a really great counter against the double jab. For players will pressure with the jab, trying to force you to respond with the slip counter, and they'll look to time your slip counter with this forward slip hook to counter that set counter, and they'll be using that to rock you. So it puts you in a very dangerous predicament. So instead of the slip straight, we're going to be using the slip rear hook. Now, if you guys recall, I'm going to link in the description my counter striking volume 1 video in here, so you guys can know how to do the slip hook counter. But in order to do the slip hook, I'm going to be slipping to my lead leg side and inputting the rear hook. I can time this after the second jab, and then I can choose to double up on that slip rear hook to win the trade, right? So if I'm already landing the slip rear hook here, I'm going to start to double up on this so I can really ensure that I win this trade, because he's going to be more vulnerable because he did not successfully slip a straight shot. For defense, there's a key detail here. So if the head movement's an issue, we have the super sliding tracking and all of that together. Lunges are going to be your best form for defense. So major key, you need to time the shoulder dip. I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see it, but if you time the shoulder dip and then lunge, that will help you get out of the way and kill your opponent's short-term stamina, right? That's going to help you tremendously with getting out of the way with lunges. The same thing applies if you're trying to lunge away. Now this is obviously risky because your opponent can go jab lead hook, but if you see that shoulder dip, more often than not, it's going to be that rear hook that comes out. If you're not too sure what's going to come out, use the back lunge to time and read, and then when you know there's going to be the slip hook, use the side lunge. And if you want to counter from here effectively, remember to let go of block when you're lunging so you can get your strikes off. For those who are feeling super risky, you can duck if you time the dip accordingly and then choose to lunge whatever direction you want, including pivot lunging, which I'll show you right after this sequence plays out. But if you want to learn how to really create angles and pivot lunge effectively, I will also link that video in the description for this, so you can start to do cool shit like this. Another option with head movement is that you duck, of course you time the dip, and then you back lunge. Much safer evasive maneuver with the lunge. Now referring back to the creating angles video, you can also slip the second jab and use that to initiate the pivot. So if you guys are in the same stance, right, I'm going to be slipping to my power side and then inputting the lunge, and I'll trigger this animation, and I'll be more likely than not going to win a trade if I input my strike right after. And if you guys want to learn how to do this in opposite stance, right? Well, we're going to switch stance here with Conor McGregor. I'm just simply going to slip away from the hook, right? I'm not going to go into the hook. I'm going to slip away from the hook, and the result is going to be relatively the same. And now we're going to discuss something that I've been recently testing out and having a lot of success with, are these winnable trades against the forward slip hook. Of course, head off is super important. Initially, I thought the body uppercut was going to be a good thing to duck and go for, but instead, I found that doubling up on the body hooks, when you duck the second jab, even if you take that headshot, you're going to win that trade to the body because it's going to be extra vulnerable because of the slip and using the short-term stamina. You can also do this even if you duck the hook. So whether it's the second jab or the hook, you're going to be good to go. And just to show y'all, I'll have Max Holloway put me at a pretty significant head health disadvantage, right? We're going to have it be at the point where I'm recovering. And because I'm attacking the body, I'm sapping power away from Max, and it helps me win that trade. Another thing that you can do to try to trade against the forward slip hook, even if he's going, right? Even if he's going to follow up with an uppercut, this saps the power away from that uppercut because you're attacking the body where his short-term stamina is low. So this is something you have to go into practice mode and practice to get really confident with attempting this counter if you're going to trade with your opponent. Another really good trade-off that you can get is using planted body uppercuts. Ideally, you try to go for the rear one and then the lead body hook. So I go planted, rear body uppercut, and then I'll follow up with either a lead body hook or a lead body uppercut. This is a well worth the trade. It absolutely shreds your opponent's body health. I'm surprised I didn't find this earlier, but it's pretty deadly. And of course, if we're talking about the forward slip hook, how could we forget block counters? Block counters work if your opponent lands a hook to your lead leg side. So if I were to block this rear hook and it lands on the outside of the lead leg of my block, I can input a lead hook. So this works better when you guys are in the same stance. Alright, understand, if we were in opposite stances right now, I wouldn't be able to do this. But right now, because we're both orthodox, I'll be able to win the trade using the lead hook instead against that slip hook. That's going to be it for understanding the UFC 4 meta, and these are some counters against the double jab and forward slip hook meta. Romero 17, I appreciate y'all. I'm out of here.